Hello beautifuls, this is Aromie here and welcome back to That Which Binds Us. We are here having to pick whether we're gonna tell her that we did it or someone else probably did it. Honestly, they're both freaking lies, but I'm gonna say she told me to do it because no one else really knows her situation. Well, this isn't the least lying route. You asked me to do it. This isn't the first time we've met this week. What? But I thought, so you used it on me? Again, you asked me to. You came in the other day asking for a bail bond, but I offered you a different service instead. I normally only sell bail bonds to people, but as a side job, I sever people's memories. You wanted out of the relationship, so you agreed, but you didn't want to remember the whole ordeal, so you asked to forget about me. I couldn't make you forget about him, since that requires me to cut your hair, and then cut him, but I was able to make him forget about you. Then after you went home, I made you forget about me, since that process usually knocks you out for a few minutes and makes you disoriented for a few hours. Of course, I think that alcohol is pushing the unconscious side effects off for your friend. Tomorrow's going to be hell for her. I'm going to too good at coming up with bullshit stories. But now the final piece. You didn't want the cut to be easily seen, so I cut the back of your right forearm. She takes the opposite hand and feels the back of her arm, her eyes widening where her fingers come across the scab from my cut. She still has a look of disbelief, but now it's mixed with a bit of fear. I'm sorry, Eva, I hate seeing you like this. It's alright, you don't have to say anything. This isn't exactly a normal situation, you know. Want another drink? Yes. I ordered 2 fresh beers and she immediately starts downing it. Her line of sight shifts to a nearby TV that I was watching before she came in. It's some baseball game being played in a few cities over, but I know she doesn't care about that. I could always start talking a bit more. I didn't know we were gonna be playing his route, like his point of view. I never believed it when I was a kid. I rarely showed off. I never believed it when I was a kid. You know, I never believed it was real when I was a kid. I always thought it was some stupid story my dad would tell me until I saw him use it one day. It opened my eyes. There's a lot more out there in the world than meets the eye. So I have a little faith. No matter what you're treading, there's more out there to surprise you. Yeah, surprise me with more stuff to tread. Or surprise you with stuff you actually like. I didn't take you for a sad drunk. I'm not drunk. Yet. Thanks. For the beer and little show and tell. The pleasure's all mine. Over in the middle of the room, Eva's friend gets up and starts to walk out. Eva turns a bit to watch her leave and views the rest of the people here. What do I say now? You know, you never really told me a lot about yourself. She snaps out of a small trance from watching everyone else when she remembers she's standing by someone. Oh, I guess I didn't, did I? She sighs and leans a bit back in her bar stool. Well, by day I'm a clerk, shelver, etc. at a retail store in the mall. By night, I come home and watch history shows. Really exciting. You can't just say that without saying which shows. She quickly looks away for a bit, trying to cover up her blushing and giggling. Alright, all the boring details. Fine. You know, the one where they go and try to find ancient ruins and long-lost cities. The one where they've yet to find shit. Yes, I watch it every Tuesday. It's a bit addicting, especially mixed with the new show where they compare old maps. They act like they're going to find buried treasure every episode, but always come up empty-handed. I wonder what it'd be like to work on one of those shows. Hell, probably. Have you seen how many tents and stuff they bring in, where they got to sleep? And sometimes it takes them full weeks just to get to their location after flying, driving, riding, hiking, and climbing. Yeah, maybe not the best job description in the world. I'll stick to watching from afar. But I doubt any of them really believe they'll find anything. All the hosts are practically reality show hosts. That's what most people are there to see at this point. Shows are filmed months in advance, so even if they had discovered anything, it'd have long been on the news. Only hopeless romantics would expect them to actually discover anything, but it is a bit fun to train. Yeah, it's always fun until reality sets in. And when that happens, you just remember what I've got. A fancy kitchen knife. Sure. What kind of places do you like to eat? Anywhere that offers shrimp and pasta together, really. Is that all it took to get your mind on food? I usually like Italian restaurants, but I'm not picky. As long as they serve noodles, I'll eat there. So even fake Italian places? Even fake ones. Wow, nothing's authentic anymore anyway. You really are a depressing drunk. Okay, since I'm so depressing, what does a typical life of a bail bond salesman looks like? If you must know, I start off my mornings with a shower, get dressed, and then I head to my office. I sit around there until lunchtime, at which time I'll usually get something from across the street. It's mostly a bread shop, so it's all sandwiches, but they sometimes have soup. And then I'll close up around 6 unless I have an appointment. Appointment? Sometimes I have repeat customers, or customers who don't want to be seen by others during normal business hours. I do have a side business, you know. It helps pay the bills when people aren't getting incarcerated as much as I like. But aside from that, there's nothing rather extraordinary about my life either. Does this surprise you? A bit. I can't exactly brag about it, so aside from using it for work, the knife sometimes rarely gets used. I haven't met anyone else with similar objectives either, so it's not like I can easily consult or talk to other people about it. What were you expecting? Something less mundane. Everyone's got to make a living. She looks up at me with a newfound sense of confidence. So what now? Huh? What now? Do we part ways? Do we stay here until the bar closes? I don't have any plans. Sierra's gone. I'm single. I don't have work tomorrow. What are you suggesting? Cause it sounds like you want me to plan something. You know, it's kind of like moving out for the first time. For a while, you're so surprised that you can't believe anything changed. But after a while, the shock wears off. You start to realize that things are changing and have changed and it's time to move on. And then you start to realize all the free time you have now. So, what's next? I stare at her somewhat incredulously for just a little long. Well, since we were both boring people, apparently, there's a really cool bookstore a few blocks away. What kind of bookstore is open this late? I did say it's a cool bookstore. She smirks a bit before finishing off her beer. Lead the way. I love this girl. Well, I mean, you did date her, so... It's rather dark out tonight, but we managed to find our way while avoiding alleys? Yeah, alleys. This way. I think I've been this way before. Passed by even more brightly lit bars and restaurants before we finally come to a familiar place. Wow. I've been here a couple of times, but it feels like years ago since then. They've really upgraded the place. The whole place looks like an odd mix of a museum, a toy shop, and a store that happens to sell books. There's faint jazz music coming from some floor up above, while the sound of a coffee grinder hums downstairs. It's like a bibliophile never wanted to leave a bookstore, so they bought it out and built all their necessities around it. It looks wonderful. He looks around like me, taking a look at everything in sight. Is he a bit sentimental? It is somewhat nice, I guess. It goes from cool to just being somewhat nice in only 10 minutes? Or was that the nostalgia goggles talking? He takes a small step back, apparently surprised that I saw him with that longing look on his face. It's just the same, jeez. How long has it been since you were here? A year or so. I don't regularly come here, not anymore. Not anymore? He starts looking away from me as his attention is suddenly fully drawn to a display board about the coffee specials downstairs. Why bring me here if you didn't want to come? So what section would you like to look at? How about the kids section? The what? Oh, good, you're still listening to me. Like, come on, I always like to look at autobiographies first. I mean, why not? Go to the kids section and read some Captain Underpants. I drag him over to where it looks like the autobiographies and biographies are. When they changed the inside, they also naturally had to move sections around, so now the biographies are on a far wall beside the non-fiction section. He skims through a few biographies and previous presidents while I look at the newest section. Richard, why are you passing over some of the biographies? If I wanted pure facts, I'd look them up online. Don't you think it's more interesting to see what a person lived through from their own eyes? Interesting, yes. Factual, no. It'd never be completely true, of course, but that's what makes it more interesting. Even if they're just lying in some parts? Even if they're just lying. Why do I care if they actually got into a fistfight behind a bar and beat up 6 guys by themselves? I'm sure someone somewhere has done it before, so I don't care if that person ever did it too. Then why read them? Because what if they did do all those things? Wouldn't that be cool? A plain old biography isn't going to have all their emotions and things they did. True. But I think I'll just stick to biographies. To each their own. I'll watch him pick up another biography, flip a few pages in it, and put it back uninterested. I put the book that I had been holding, the story of a stand-up comedian of 30 years, back on the shelf. So what interests you more? Like what? Like in general novels? His eyes wander a bit as he starts thinking. A few aisles over, a shopkeeper starts putting books on the shelf. Aside from them, we're the only ones in that area of the store. Finally, his eyes meet mine again. How about I show you? I sigh but follow him. He leads me down a few rows, past a it's not fox. I said fox before. With a coat, and Tyler was like, "What the fuck did you just say?" English is my first language. God damn it! Bronze statue of a replica Discuss from Greece. Discuss? It's a bit obvious where we're heading. The history section? I don't read much, to be honest, but when I was younger, my dad was infatuated with myths, like I said at the bar. My teachers had a hell of a time getting me to read assignments, but when I had to clean up his belongings after he passed, I took a glance at his books. I didn't think much of them, but I knew they meant a lot to him, so I read a few. Every now and then, I'll still find a new one to read. When he was talking about all that, I figured he was completely full of himself or something, but now I can see at the very least he's not faking it. I'm sorry to hear about him. Nah, it's alright. It was in high school. So, 10 years or so ago. Jeez, I didn't realize it's been that long. This thing has been in my family for probably centuries, but there's no trace of it. Even my grandfather only knew that he had gotten it from his father, and so on. I've always wanted to know where it came from and what it fully is, but I'll probably never know. I've got all these questions, yet I'm cooped up in the office all day. It just shifts his focus to the aisle in front of us, which most prominently features mythos, something, and ancient civilizations. I once met a hopeful soon-to-be historian here. They were a lot more eager and sociable back then, and we talked for what felt like hours. What happened? He turns back at me with a semi-sheepish, semi-disheartened look. Well, it doesn't really matter now, does it? It matters a little bit, surely. Why? Why'd you bring it up then? Fair point. So you said you're interested in history. Wow, way to change the topic. That's not even attempting to seg into another topic. That's just avoiding it completely. Amazing. Yes, a bit. A bit? Well, I tried going to college right out of high school, but it just didn't work out. I hate bringing this up. I had to drop out and start working. So now I'm stuck at a retail store, but it pays better than my last job. Whenever I mention that I'm a dropout, there's always a mix of reactions. Some pity me, some worry about me, and some are even slightly disgusted. I'm not gonna judge you. I never went, so his expression doesn't change a bit. That's alright, I never had a chance to go to college. My dad's death accrued a lot of debt for us, mainly from the funeral and his lack of income, so I had to get another job besides the one I had in high school. But enough depressing talk. What's done is done. It's bad for your health if you only concentrate on the past, on things you can't change. I do kind of want to go back to college, though. My English was horrible there. To study history. Sorta. Alright, how about this then? We're in a huge bookstore. Yeah? So find me some books. Can't decide what books you want to read next. No, it's a game. I'll try to guess your intended major based off of them. Excuse me. Of course there's going to be some limits. Oh, did you realize it was too easy? You can only pick up 3 books and you have 10 minutes. Sounds easy enough. Why don't I just tell you what I want to do though? What else are two not fully sober adults supposed to do for fun on a Saturday night? Fine, I'll play your game. Great, then start. He looks at the time on his phone to start at a somewhat loose 10-minute countdown. Gosh, it's almost midnight already. How late is this place open? Still, there's no time to waste. I walk around trying to find the best books to represent what I want to do. But what is that exactly? I was sort of just blurting it out when I mentioned I wanted to go back to college. It's always been a dream, but I've never given myself the luxury of thinking that dreams could be anything more than just dreams. It's definitely something to do with history. That narrows it down to like a few thousand or so fields. Why am I supposed to pick a major in 10 minutes? Wait, why am I freaking out over this? It's not like it happened. Anyway, despite all the money I have in savings, it's not like he'll know the difference anyway. What to do? I somehow managed to get 3 books and walk back to Idris, who's now playing on his phone. Back already. You've still got, like, a minute. Here. I hand him the books I picked out. Expeditions Across the Northern Peninsula to Foreign Lands. Copyright 1924. A compilation of ancient travelers' journeys to find other colonies. How to perfect a speech without having to speak before. A book on giving formal presentations at a professor level. The making of the first machina. Machina? How they did it. A detailed guide exploring the inner workings of the world's first megacities in the ancient world and how they were built. I don't know what major that is all. I don't know. Tough choices, I've got to say. Well, it sounds like you like history and public speaking. I didn't know anyone actually liked public speaking. I'm going to guess you want to give speeches on history. Specifically? What? Was I not detailed enough? Alright, you want more. I say you have an interest in specifically ancient cities and how they worked. I guess that's close enough. I kind of forgot you wanted to do that. But this is where I'm going to stop for today's episode. Because it is kind of nice to like spice it up and see both of their point of views now. We just don't see hers, we see his. And we also get to pick choices for him. So hopefully I won't be that bad of a newsbreaker to her to tell her that I was her boyfriend and we were in a car crash together. And for some reason I just decided to wipe out her memory. But I'm sure he thought it was for the best of her. I don't know. We're gonna figure that out, hopefully. But anyway, thank you guys for watching today's episode. Stay beautiful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
I still wonder next to where I want to make